annyeonghaseyo to each and every one of you. In today's video, I wanted to give you all a really quick garden tour. All of the plants that we've been growing this year, how well they've been growing and how not so well they've been growing. And a lot of you have requested me to show you what we like to plant, so I thought today would be a great day to show you. So I hope you enjoy this video, and with that being said, let's just get to it and show you our garden. Let's go. So in this area we have our main garden bed with our pathway to our other garden beds and a few of our fruit trees and other plants. So in this garden bed, my mom likes to plant fresh herbs. You'll see her planting fresh dill. She'll have some fresh green onions, and she will always have cilantro in the garden bed as well. Next to the cilantro, I actually grew and planted one bell pepper plant, and it actually grew pretty well this year. I also grew a few pepper plants in the ground as well this year, and they're not really ripe yet, but this is what they look like. And then next to the pepper plants, I like to grow a few pots of basil. I either grow Thai basil or Italian basil, and I love using it for a variety of different dishes. And right next to the basil, I have all these pots of tomatoes. So I have a few cherry tomatoes, I have a few Roma tomatoes, but mostly and always cherry tomatoes. This year I decided to plant it in some fabric pots, but I realized that the tomatoes didn't really like it. It was actually fairly hot during this late summer, so I think the tomatoes would actually benefit if they were actually planted in the ground. But other than that, they look kind of sad. There wasn't really much support to it, so it's pretty heavy, so you can see it kind of drooping down. But we did get quite a lot of really pretty tomatoes that grew this year, and just enough for us to eat on a daily basis. But yeah, look at the variety of tomatoes that we actually grew this year. It's really pretty. And then right across from our tomato plants, we have pots of lemongrass that we grew this year, and they actually grew really well this year. And right next to the lemongrass, we usually grow just one single cucumber plant because not a lot of us eat cucumber in my family, so my mom and I usually just plant one so that we can use it for a really nice cucumber refresher. My dad also really likes cucumbers, so he's the only one that would actually eat these cucumbers that grow here. And then next to the cucumber plant, we have a bench here that is filled with pots and pots of peppers. So again, in our family, we love to grow a lot of peppers so that we can actually store it and freeze it and use it for pepper dips. And then across from our pepper plant, this is our persimmon tree. And at this time, it's actually not ripe yet, but they're currently looking like this, quite green. But they are growing pretty well this year. They grow it pretty well every single year. Sometimes you get it big, sometimes you get it small. Depending on the weather, the persimmon might be ready about mid-November to early November. But when they're ready, they look like this. Very beautiful and pale orange. This was our harvest last year. They grew extremely well. And this is my dad picking the persimmons. And as you can tell, right next to the persimmon trees, we have our beautiful banana tree that has been growing extremely well this summer as well. You can tell all the leaves are full and super green and lush. And then right next to the banana tree, we have a few garden beds full of medicinal herbs. And these medicinal herbs are my mom's favorite herbs that she loves to use for chicken soup. And here is our wild mint. It grows like crazy, but we love using it for quite a lot of different dishes, especially during the summertime. And right next to our garden bed of herbs, we have my mom's chayote plant. So she grows chayote every single year. This year, surprisingly, it actually didn't grow as well because the weather, especially the sun here in our area, was a little bit late. And so our chayote didn't have enough hot weather to actually grow enough fruit. But this was last year's harvest. You can tell the chayote grew really well and they are ready to be picked. So in this area of our garden bed, we have planted quite a lot of corn. So in this area here, I planted some glass gem corns. And over in this area, my mom loves to plant wax corn. And the wax corn that she plants looks like this. They are edible, very slightly sweet, texturally a little bit sticky, a little bit waxy, but they are super delicious. In terms of color, she likes to do a little bit of variation. So sometimes she'll plant yellow corn, white corn, or purple corn. Sometimes it mixes and matches. And then right next to the corn, I have planted some very sad Kabocha squash. So the Kabocha squash here looks really sad because there was actually a rat or a mice that actually dig a hole and went through the roots of these squash. And so they kind of lost nutrition and lost water. So they look really sad like this. But before they actually came, some Kabocha squash actually grew. And I did get a few this year, so I'm happy with that. But I like to grow a few variety of Kabocha squash because I love Kabocha squash, and I love using the shoots to make soup. And then right next to those, we have more pepper plants, and we actually grew these peppers into the ground, and they actually grew really well. And right next to the peppers, my mom grew some bitter eggplants and some green long eggplants, and sometimes we'll like to grow a little bit of green tiger eggplants as well. And then right next to the eggplants, we usually like to grow a variety of different greens. Sometimes my mom likes to grow napa cabbage, bok choy, or any hearty greens that we can use for soups or stir fries. And then next to the greens, we actually grew and planted lemongrass in the ground. My mom and I wanted to experiment what it would be like to grow the lemongrass in the ground in our area, and they actually are doing pretty well. And then next to the lemongrass, we have our kaffir lime leaf, and it's growing pretty well in the ground, but we also have one that's growing in the pot as well, and that one's doing really good. We love using these for soups, for salads, for stews, for lots of different dishes. And we have come to the end of the garden tour. So hope you enjoy getting to see a little bit of what my mom and I like to plant this year. Every single year I learn something new, and that's what I enjoy the most when it comes to gardening. So hope you are inspired and motivated to hopefully start your garden someday. And until then, I will see you in my next video.